In the 1890s, Joseph Pulitzer was the world's most powerful media mogul. This contemporary cartoon shows the kind of news with which he made his name. Later in life, to atone for this sensationalism, he used some of the fortune it had made him to fund the Pulitzer Prize for better quality journalism. Aspiring to similar wealth and influence was a younger, devilish rival, William Randolph Hearst. His name lives on to this day in a publishing empire and in New York's Hearst Tower, which his fortune paid for.
William Hearst imitated Joseph Pulitzer's successful formula of crime and celebrity. Popular, attention-grabbing stories under lurid headlines, a sort of 19th century clickbait. But he also felt there might be a market for stories of adventure and patriotism. What could really boost circulation, he decided, was a good war.
During the 1890s, Cuban rebels were fighting for independence from their colonial rulers, the Spanish Empire. Hearst's New York Journal called for a war on Spain, and to drum up support, he sent staff to Cuba. Among them, one of America's leading illustrators, Frederick Remington. The artist spent much of his time in Havana drinking cocktails in his hotel. He telegraphed Hearst, saying, "Everything is quiet, there's no trouble here, there will be no war. I wish to return. Remington." Hearst is reported to have wired back, "Please remain. You furnish the pictures and I'll furnish the war." Although there's no proof that this oft-repeated exchange actually occurred, Remington did produce a highly provocative image of the sort his proprietor demanded. On February the 12th, 1897, Hearst's paper ran a story about Spanish officials boarding an American steamship and seizing a woman they suspected of spying for the Cuban rebels. She was then strip-searched.
Pulitzer and Hearst were in a race to the bottom. And in this feature, page 2 in the journal, Hearst had won. This is titillation masquerading as outrage. And of course the readers loved it. And there were serious questions asked in Congress. But what had actually happened was nothing like Remington's picture.
The woman hadn't been searched on deck by a gang of rough men, but in a private cabin by one respectable older woman. Hearst himself had changed the crucial details of the report, prompting the journalist who filed it to vow never to work for the proprietor again.
Even the reporter thought that he had gone too far.
But Hearst didn't care.
Hearst didn't care. Hearst never cared. And Hearst loved stories about ladies in danger, about lustful and horrifying foreigners of all kinds. And he sent his reporters there and kind of directed them what kind of stories they were supposed to get.
This paddle steamer isn't in Cuba, by the way. It's on the Thames. Less Havana, more Kingston. Typical BBC. Fake cruise.
Another Cuban story, also set at sea, was used by both Hearst and Pulitzer to help tip America into war. On February the 15th, 1898, an explosion ripped apart an American warship called the Maine, which had been harboured near Havana, causing the loss of 260 lives. No evidence has ever been found that the Spanish were responsible, but in the papers, the reality that it was probably an accident got short shrift.
The journal, there's no room for doubt. The destruction of the warship Maine was the work of an enemy. But there's a fantastic bit of humbug in the small print. This is very tiny. It says the captain of the ship and the consul general both urge that public opinion be suspended until they've completed their investigation. Well, there's no chance of that happening. and everything here says they did it. And it's incredibly successful. It's the first time the paper sold more than 1 million copies.
Nine weeks later, Pulitzer and Hearst got the war they'd been clamouring for. And America defeated the Spanish Empire quickly and decisively.
The patriotic hysteria whipped up by the press had massive consequences. 1898 was the start of the USA's ascendancy into becoming a global superpower. Yet the war that began all this might never have happened without the help of fake news.